What happens when science fiction dares to show too much truth? Imagine a scene so shocking it vanished before the public could see it. Television once feared the future it helped imagine. Censors struck without mercy, deleting visions of madness, rebellion, and cosmic despair. Tonight we open the vault of forbidden reels and expose 12 legendary sci-fi moments TV networks tried to erase from history. Number 12. The Day the Earth Stood Still, 1951. When this Cold War masterpiece first aired on television, many stations panicked. The story of an alien messenger bringing peace through power was already political dynamite. Klaatu's warning to humanity about self-destruction echoed too close to the atomic fears of the 50s. During its early TV syndication, one critical scene vanished. It was the moment Klaatu calmly explains that alien worlds formed a galactic alliance enforcing peace by threat of annihilation. Censors feared the line about global military control would be read as communist propaganda, or worse, a metaphor for totalitarian government. Broadcasters in conservative states demanded its removal, calling it too subversive for family audiences. Behind the scenes, editor Leo Solomon protested, but lost. That missing speech left a gap that confused first-time viewers. Critics noted how the televised version felt hollow, lacking its moral weight. It was decades later when restored prints revealed the original monologue and fans finally understood its philosophical core. Today, that once-banned speech feels prophetic. It warned that peace without understanding becomes control without conscience. What was once too radical for TV now sounds like a plea for human sanity in an age of endless power. Number 11. Planet of the Apes, 1968. When this dystopian classic reached television in the early 70s, it came with scissors ready. The film's bleak twist ending shocked theaters worldwide. Charlton Heston's scream on the ruined beach became a cinematic legend. But one scene before that moment faced quiet censorship. In the original cut, there was an extended exchange between the Apes Council and Dr. Zaius, debating evolution and divine punishment. The conversation questioned religion, directly suggesting that faith had been used to suppress science. Broadcast censors considered the dialogue inflammatory and anti-religious. The scene was shortened to a vague debate about forbidden knowledge. Fox executives feared protests from religious groups already angry about the film's message. Some Southern TV affiliates refused to air it unless edits were made. Even the makeup department got pulled into the controversy when leaked photos showed Heston's half-buried face alongside the Statue of Liberty long before the twist was meant to be revealed. The Lost Council debate resurfaced years later in a home video restoration, proving it wasn't blasphemy, but a reflection of fear itself. That scene gave the story its philosophical backbone, revealing that censorship is not only political, but spiritual. In silencing one question, humanity only deepened its own extinction. Number 10. The Incredible Shrinking Man, 1957. Jack Arnold's haunting film was more than pulp science. It was existential horror wrapped in atomic allegory. When television prepared to air it in the early 60s, one crucial scene was deemed too disturbing. The sequence came near the finale as the shrinking protagonist enters his cellar turned vast wasteland. He gazes at a spiderweb glistening in shadow and speaks a soliloquy about cosmic insignificance. The speech ends with a realization that he is infinite even as he disappears. Religious broadcasters demanded its removal, claiming it contradicted human dominance over nature and hinted at divine irrelevance. Universal resisted, but pressure mounted. A shortened cut removed the full monologue, leaving only visuals. Critics complained it turned a masterpiece into a monster movie. Actor Grant Williams later said that scene expressed the very soul of the film. Its loss turned poetry into pulp. When restored decades later, the full version stunned audiences anew. The censored words about unity of matter and the endlessness of existence became a meditation for generations raised on fear. Television once shrank that vision to fit its comfort zone, but the universe never does. Number 9. Forbidden Planet, 1956. MGM called it the most ambitious science fiction movie of its decade. Critics hailed its futuristic design and Shakespearean undertones. But when Forbidden Planet reached television screens, censors targeted one surprising sequence. The scene showed Dr. Morbius exploring the ancient Krell machinery. He explains how the alien species harnessed infinite energy from thought itself. When he admits that their technology unleashed the monsters of their subconscious television, executives panicked. The metaphor was too psychological, too close to human sin for comfortable family viewing. Several regional networks cut the moment when Morbius collapses, realizing the monster is his own mind given form by the machine. That confession was considered too dark, too blasphemous for Sunday night programming. MGM protested, claiming the moral message was essential, but affiliates overruled them, fearing parental complaints. For years, audiences saw a version missing its emotional core. Only later did uncut versions reveal how the story was never about aliens, but about humanity's inability to control its own desires. The scene became a haunting mirror for the atomic era, showing that the real forbidden planet was always Earth itself. Number 8. THX, on 11/38, 1971. George Lucas's debut film terrified network censors. Its sterile underground world where emotion was outlawed felt uncomfortably prophetic. When television prepared to air it, the studio demanded multiple cuts. One major deletion occurred during the escape sequence. THX wanders through a white void pursued by robotic police. He finds a control room showing countless citizens monitored on screens. The shot lingered on faces crying, begging, whispering to unseen authorities. Broadcasters cut this moment entirely, claiming it was too bleak for prime time. They also muted a computer voice that said, "You are a true believer in the computer faith." Executives argued it mocked organized religion and risked backlash. Lucas fought for its inclusion, but was overruled. The TV edit transformed the film from a critique of conformity into a simple chase story. When the restored version appeared decades later, audiences realized how ahead of its time it was. It predicted mass surveillance data control and emotional sterilization. The censored scene was not fantasy, but a prophecy of modern obedience wrapped in the illusion of safety. Number 7. Quatermass and the Pit, 1967. Hammer Films produced this eerie British masterpiece about an ancient alien ship buried under London. Critics praised its intelligence, but TV censors saw danger. The story linked extraterrestrials with human evolution, suggesting mankind's violent instincts were engineered long ago. When the BBC planned a late-night broadcast, they quietly trimmed a crucial scene. Professor Quatermass shows military officials that human aggression is genetically programmed by alien interference. The soldiers then experience hallucinations of mass hysteria and racial violence. Television executives feared the imagery mirrored real social unrest across Britain in the late 60s. Behind the scenes, producers protested. Director Roy Ward Baker insisted the scene warned against hate, not promoted it. But censors refused to listen. The broadcast cut reduced the story's meaning to a simple monster tale. When the full version resurfaced decades later, it stunned modern viewers. The missing sequence revealed that the horror was not alien invasion, but inherited evil. Quatermass and the Pit remains one of the rare sci-fi films brave enough to suggest that the monsters we fear were born inside us. Number 6. Soylent Green, 1973. When Soylent Green hit theaters, it shocked audiences with its apocalyptic vision of overpopulation and moral decay. But when it reached television, the censors found one particular sequence intolerable. The moment was not violent, it was emotional. It showed the quiet horror of truth itself. Edward G. Robinson's final scene inside the euthanasia center originally ran far longer than the TV audience ever saw. In the theatrical cut, he watches images of forests, oceans, and animals from a vanished Earth as he slips away peacefully. His friend Charlton Heston weeps behind a glass wall, realizing what humanity has done. Broadcasters thought this sequence was too long, too depressing, and too politically loaded. They cut nearly 2 minutes and softened Heston's breakdown to avoid distressing viewers. But those missing minutes mattered. Robinson himself was dying in real life when he filmed the scene. It became his farewell to cinema and to life. Crew members wept on set. When the movie aired without the full sequence, critics accused networks of sanitizing despair into entertainment. The uncut version, restored years later, revealed its quiet genius. The censored moment was never about death. It was about remembrance. It asked what happens when humanity forgets what it means to live. Television could not handle that question then. Many still cannot now. Number 5. A Clockwork Orange, 1971. Stanley Kubrick's notorious dystopia faced one of the most severe television edits in history. When networks attempted to broadcast it in the 80s, entire sections vanished, leaving a hollow shell of the original film. The censors feared not its violence, but its ideas about control rebellion and state power. The most significant deleted scene was not one of shock, but of revelation. After Alex undergoes his brutal conditioning, he wanders through a church, listening to a preacher discuss the illusion of choice. The sermon mirrors the film's central theme, that morality without free will is no morality at all. British and American TV versions cut this moment completely, calling it philosophically confusing and unsuitable for young audiences. Kubrick himself later withdrew the film from UK circulation after copycat incidents drew press hysteria. For decades, the only versions on TV were neutered cuts, missing the philosophical backbone that gave it meaning. Without that sermon and the ending reflection where Alex dreams of acceptance, the film became a horror show stripped of irony. When restored prints resurfaced long after Kubrick's death, the missing sequence turned audiences silent. The censored sermon transformed the film from pure shock into a question about society itself. Can civilization survive if it demands obedience at the price of the soul? Television once said no. History proved otherwise. Number 4. The Thing from Another World, 1951. This black-and-white classic terrified audiences at the dawn of the atomic age. Critics loved its suspense, but when it came to television, many stations decided it was simply too grim. The fear was not about monsters, but about what they represented. The scene that disappeared from most early broadcasts showed the scientists discussing whether the alien creature should be destroyed or studied. Dr. Carrington argues for preservation, calling it a new form of life that could teach mankind humility. Others argue for its destruction before it spreads. The argument grows heated until the military intervenes. The sequence openly challenged American Cold War faith in weapons and control. Broadcasters in conservative markets removed it completely, claiming it questioned patriotism and authority. Behind the scenes, editor. Roland Gross fought to keep it, but the sponsor demanded its removal, fearing backlash from politicians. The edit left a confusing gap in the televised version where motives became unclear. The cut silenced the film's central warning that curiosity and fear often share the same face. When archivists restored the footage in later home releases, fans finally saw how the debate transformed the movie. It was not about an alien at all, but about human arrogance disguised as survival. The censored words had dared to ask a question the Cold War never wanted answered. Number 3. 2001. A Space Odyssey, 1968. Stanley Kubrick's 2001, A Space Odyssey changed cinema forever. Its cosmic silence and philosophical grandeur left audiences awestruck. But when television networks prepared to air it in the early 70s, panic spread among executives who found Kubrick's vision too slow, too strange, and too unsettling for mainstream viewers. One of the most important deleted scenes was the Stargate prelude. In the theatrical cut, astronaut Dave Bowman enters the monolith's light and experiences a transcendental trip through time and consciousness. In the original extended version, this sequence was followed by a quiet moment in which Bowman's breathing slows and his mind expands beyond human comprehension. He whispers fragmented thoughts about memory and identity before fading into the Star Child. Broadcasters found the sequence disorienting and incomprehensible for television pacing. They cut it, entirely reducing Kubrick's transcendence to a quick visual montage. MGM justified the edit by claiming viewers would change the channel during such a slow sequence. Yet Kubrick had intended it to be the film's spiritual core, the moment humanity faced its next stage of evolution. Without it, the movie's broadcast version felt colder and more mechanical, stripping away the awe that defined its legacy. The missing material was rediscovered decades later in Kubrick's archives after his death. Film historians confirmed that the deleted dialogue and visuals transformed the ending into something closer to mysticism than science fiction. It portrayed Bowman not as reborn, but as witnessing the death of human limitation. Television had turned enlightenment into spectacle. By cutting the scene, networks silenced Kubrick's message that progress without understanding is still blindness. Today, the restored sequence serves as proof that art and comfort rarely coexist. It reminds us that evolution, spiritual or otherwise, can never be edited down for convenience. Number 2. Metropolis, 1927. Fritz Lang's silent masterpiece remains one of the most influential films ever made. Its vision of a divided futuristic city where workers toil underground while elites thrive above defined the language of science fiction. Yet few realize that when Metropolis finally reached television screens nearly half a century later, it arrived incomplete and misunderstood. The version most stations aired in the 50s and 60s came from heavily censored international prints. Missing were key sequences showing the heart of Lang's political allegory. The original film included a scene in which the workers' rebellion spirals into chaos, destroying the very machines that sustain their lives. As the water floods the tunnels, Lang intercut images of religious symbols collapsing alongside industrial ones. American networks deemed it too provocative, too political, and too religiously ambiguous. The result was an edit that reduced the message to a morality play about love rather than class struggle. Censors also cut a moment when the inventor Rotwang unveils his mechanical creation in front of corrupt industrialists. His speech warns that technology without empathy would one day enslave the human soul. That line was removed entirely in English versions for television. For decades, audiences believed Metropolis was a romantic fable rather than a social warning. When lost footage was found in an Argentinian archive in 2008, the full vision returned. Critics finally saw the film's complexity, how faith industry and revolution collide to form a mirror of our modern world. The once censored images of destruction and rebirth carried a meaning television could not handle at the height of the Cold War. The irony is haunting. A film about the dangers of control was itself controlled by those who feared its truth. Every frame Lang shot was a question about who builds paradise and who is buried beneath it. Number 1. Blade Runner, 1982. Ridley Scott's Blade Runner defined the cyberpunk genre and reshaped how cinema saw the future. Yet the version that most people first saw on television was not Scott's vision at all. Censors and studio editors had stripped away the film's darkness and ambiguity, turning it into a detective story instead of a tragedy about identity and existence. The most infamous edit came from the unicorn sequence. In the original director's cut, Deckard dreams of a unicorn running through a misty forest, hinting that he might be an artificial human himself. Television executives considered it too confusing for general audiences. They removed the scene entirely to make the story straightforward and safe. Another major deletion was the final rooftop confrontation. In Scott's original version, Roy Batty delivers his poetic Tears in Rain monologue and releases the dove into a stormy sky. The theatrical sound mix emphasized the chaos of rain thunder and silence after death. Television edits reduced the sequence's length and softened the storm to avoid disturbing sound levels. Some networks even muted the final moments of Batty's speech. To make the ending more uplifting, the TV cut reinstated the studio's forest happy ending, where Deckard and Rachel drive through bright mountain scenery. The philosophical dread was replaced with sentimentality. Critics called it a betrayal. Fans demanded restoration for years until the definitive cut finally premiered in the 2000s. That censored version once turned a masterpiece into a mystery half-solved. The restored film proved that Blade Runner was never about the chase, but about what it means to be human in a world built by machines. Every trimmed frame was a lost heartbeat. Every lost word a piece of the soul television feared we might recognize as our own. Censorship once claimed it was protecting viewers from fear and confusion. In truth, it was protecting comfort from awakening. Each of these lost sci-fi moments revealed a truth too raw for their time. Now they echo across decades, reminding us that imagination is the first casualty of control. So tell me, what other scenes do you think TV tried to bury? Like this video if you believe stories deserve to be seen uncut. Subscribe and join us as we uncover more of cinema's forgotten shadows.